In the beginning, there was Phantom Blood, then some other parts. Now there is a Stone Ocean. Unless you read the manga, then there are 2 more parts, maybe even 3 by the time this video comes out. Anyway, back on topic. Should you watch JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 6, Stone Ocean?
Hello, I'm Jotaro Kujo. I'm taking a moment of your time to ask you to please like and subscribe to this channel.
For those who don't know, JoJo's Bizarre Adventure is a manga/anime series in which a JoJo has bizarre adventures. The story is a multi-generational tale following the Joestar family. The series is split into different parts. Each part follows a different member of the Joestar family. So the part we're looking at is part 6. Now, if you've never watched JoJo before, and you somehow managed to find this video, you can watch any part of JoJo on its own if you want to, but I would recommend you watch it in order, each part at a time, to get the full experience. Spoilers for part 1 and 3, and some light spoilers for part 2. Timestamps on screen, if you want to skip those bits. Stone Ocean has a lot of talking points around it and the show itself, but first we need a little refresher. Stone Ocean follows Jolene Kujo, who is the daughter of Part 3 protagonist Jotaro Kujo. In Part 3, Jotaro defeated and killed a vampire called Dio, with the help of his grandfather Joseph Joestar, who was the protagonist of Part 2. He battled some different vampires, but Joseph's granddad, Jonathan Joestar, is the Part 1 protagonist who defeated his adopted brother Dio, but didn't manage to kill him. So at the end of Part 1, Dio manages to kill Jonathan and steal his body. See, that's why it's better to watch it in order. You get a lot more context. The basic premise for Stone Ocean is Jolene gets framed for murder and is sent to jail, but Jolene gets sent a special amulet from her parents that pricks her. This gives her stand. Stands are special powers used for most of JoJo. Stands are physical manifestations of the person's life energy. They normally look humanoid, but can take many different forms. Each stand has its own unique abilities. Jolene's stand, called Stone Ocean, which is the English localized name, so it's also known by the name Stone Free. The stand has the ability to make strings unravel from Jolene's body, which can be used in a variety of ways. In jail, she meets a friend called Hermes, and has a few encounters with stand users, but when Jotaro visits Jolene, Jotaro explains how prison sentence was revenge for him killing Dio. They come under attack by some stand users. The long or the short of it is, Jotaro gets injured, gets his memory stolen by a white snake in the form of a disc, so Jolene has to get her father's memory back, uncover who this white snake is, and what they are plotting, get a gang of Jobros, and maybe escape prison. This is the basic premise of Stone Ocean. The prison setting makes an interesting flavour to the JoJo formula, with a lot of interesting battles and characters. I want to give a special shout out to Survivor, but I want to take a moment to talk about how Stone Ocean was released, at least in the West anyway. That's right, we're talking about the Netflix release schedule. Ooh. You see, JoJo has traditionally been released weekly, but when Stone Ocean was picked up by Netflix, they changed the release schedule, releasing episodes chunks at a time. For example, in December of 2021, the first 12 episodes came out, and the next 12 came out September 2022, and the last batch came out in December of 2022. And let's just say, this didn't go over well with the fanbase, with many preferring the traditional release model, with others saying it killed the hype of the show, because a bunch of episodes will come out at once, people will binge it, and all discussion around the show quickly drops off. It also doesn't help there was a huge gap in time between the first and second batches. But, what did I think? Well, the question is, do I prefer a binge or watching episodes week to week? My answer is depends on the show, but how do I feel? JoJo is best consumed. Well, before Stone Ocean, I binged JoJo, and I've watched it week to week in the past as well. I think JoJo can be binge watched. I was binging the last episode of Stone Ocean in a day. More on that ending later, but the problem with this method is, no one is really talking about it. People are talking about the other season releases around Part 6's last batch of episodes, and there are a lot of big shows airing around that time. I believe a weekly release schedule will help keep discussion around the show alive and keep it in the cultural zeitgeist. It's not like Netflix hasn't done this before of animate its license. For example, if they get part 7, I hope they can learn from this, or at least if they're releasing chunks, make sure there's not a huge gap in between those chunks. The last thing I'll talk about is Stone Ocean's ending, so spoilers ahead. So basically the video's over now if you don't want to get spoiled for Stone Ocean's ending. So like and subscribe for stuff, like whatever. Video over for you, don't like spoil. Transition. For those of you who watch Stone Ocean, or just don't care about spoilers, shit gets crazy! But first, a very quick recap to show us how the gang got here. Well, turns out a priest called Poochie is Whitesnake, and let's just say he's a very loyal follower of Dio. He finds a piece of Dio which turns into a baby. Poochie takes that baby, it gives him shiny new powers. Jolene and her chums, that are still alive, escape jail to chase down Poochie. Also, Chicharo's memory disc gets sent back to him. That was a very brief description of how we got to this endpoint. Kennedy Space Center. It turns out Poochie's new power is that he can control gravity, so he turns gravity sideways in the surrounding area. You see, Poochie is trying to get to a specific location to find what he calls heaven. He gets into a fight with the gang. Poochie can use his gravity to turn things inside out. Then Jotaro shows up. Poochie uses gravity on the spaceship to reach heaven and unlocks his new, more even terrifying stand. Made in heaven. Made in Heaven's power is time acceleration. It makes the flow of time faster and faster as it goes on, but it does not affect living creatures. With this new power, Poochie straight kills most of the remaining characters, including our protagonist Jolene. All that's left is a young boy Emporio, but then we get to see the true point of Made in Heaven, speeding up time to the point that the universe resets. But anyone who died during the reset is permanently dead in the new universe, and are replaced with off-brands. But in this new universe, Poochie is defeated by Emporio thanks to a borrowed stand, which resets the universe again, but this time with a somewhat happy ending. But they are slightly different people. Then Roundabout plays us out at the end. That was an insane ending, and I even accidentally spoiled myself in parts of it long before I read/watched it. It was so insane that the manga Araki wanted the next part to take place in a new universe, so it didn't have to try and one-up it. Also, the universe in the latter parts takes place in a completely separate universe to the one shown at the end of Stone Ocean. I, like many people, assumed it was one of the same for a while. So the ending to Stone Ocean is not just an ending to Part 6, but the end to the original JoJo universe. Well, apart from some spin-offs. But yeah, I really like that ending. It felt like a good bookend to what's come before, but it's not my personal favourite part. Just so you know, here are my rankings of the parts on screen now. I hope more people get around to watching it eventually, just to see more people's reactions to that ending. A lot of people still don't even know it's finished. Well, this is the end of the video. It's time for me to move on to a certain Steel Ball run, possibly. But shortly, in a second, there'll be some links on screen, maybe a video that YouTube has recommended for you, the viewer. I'm just going to stare at the screen, or the camera, until the video's over. Toodaloo. My glasses are falling down. I think that's it.